Hello everybody, Mike Tuttle here at Rhapsody Music in Anthem, Arizona. And today I'm here with Mr. Pete Rose in the back of our facility in our Rhapsody studio where we work with our kids and inspire musicians all day long. One of the joys of being here at Rhapsody Music. I invited Pete in today. I thought we'd talk to you a little bit about what inspires us about music. How did we get into music? What inspired us to get started on this journey that some people call crazy and most of us just really love. So, hey Pete, got a question for you.
Yeah.
So how did you get started in music? What was your first musical experience?
Well, I grew up in a really musical household. My mom was a professional ballet dancer and in musical theater in London. My dad loved music. We had music all through the house growing up. I remember once we got the soundtrack album, if you remember albums, records, real records, to the Sound of Music, and my sisters and I literally ran into the living room to find the record and put it on the record player and play it. That's how involved in everything we were with music and with theater growing up. My real inspiration, though, I'm of an age where I saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show for the first time. And my mom, again being from England, she was sitting right next to me and was just as enthused about it as I was. I mean, I remember the couch, I remember the popcorn bowl, I remember everything about watching it on that night and just sitting there with my jaw dropping, going, well, that looks like fun. I think I'd like to do that, and that's where it started.
Nice. I think we can talk about the day-to-day things we do because there's a lot of work that goes into being a musician, to being a good musician. There's a lot of work and practice, and can be challenging. But I think every one of us probably has a couple of key moments. You talk about seeing the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. I can think of an experience in college. I mean, I was already playing for a long time, but I got to play with Doc Severinsen on stage at college. Doc Severinsen being one of the greatest trumpet players of my generation for sure, led the Tonight Show band for so many years. And having a chance to play with my big band and him leading us on stage, I still think back to that moment. I can visualize it as if I was still there. So what about you? What about some guys you've played with over the years? Anything that's kind of stuck with you?
Aside from some wonderful teachers and opportunities that I had even in grade school, I mean, I started playing trombone when I was in third grade, so I started with music and music theory. I had music theory classes all through high school, so learning not only just the instrument that I was playing, but what I call music with a capital M.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate to have that kind of educational background. Biggest thing for me was I got to take lessons for a year and a half or so from a lady named Carol Kay, who is perhaps one of the most recorded electric bass players in history. She played on all the old Beach Boys songs. She played on all the old Sonny and Cher records. She was part of what they called the Wrecking Crew, the Los Angeles studio musicians that played on everybody's records in the 60s and early 70s. She went from that to playing on hundreds of television shows and movies and everything, and just her playing and her instructional style was such an inspiration to me personally as a musician. And then the other thing that I always tried to do was I can't do it anymore, but I always tried to play with people who were older than me. Just not that I was completely out of range from playing with these people, but someone that I really have to be on my toes to be able to play with, and that was a huge inspiration and a big, I think, a large advantage to becoming the musician that I hopefully someday will become.
Yeah, well, and that's an interesting point because we joke a lot of times about how we're still aspiring to be the best musician we can be, and I have to tell kids, this is not a 1 year or 2 year gig. I mean, by the time you're my age, at 55. I'm still trying to figure out how to be a better musician, I don't have quite the hours or minutes that I did when I was growing up to do the hard practice time, but I'm still looking at ways to get better. And I think that's going to stay with me forever. I mean, I think I'm always going to try and learn. I mean, to the grave. I'll hopefully play my own taps when I'm going down in the grave, I hope, as good as I can. I want to keep doing this for as long as I can, which is another kind of unique thing about music. Not everything you do in your life can you continue doing almost to the end of where you're at.
Right.
When you're performing now, because you perform a lot more than I do. You're out with David Allen. You've done a bunch of gigs subbing around. What really What are you thinking? What are you inspired about when you go into the gigs these days? Because you've been doing this a long time now, and a gig is still a gig. What keeps it exciting?
I try to learn something about the way that I play and the way that I approach, because I play a bunch of different kinds of music, different styles of music that I'm called upon to play. So I try to learn something about my playing in any kind of situation that I am every time I go. I consider that if I don't learn something and to be able to make myself a better player the next time, I consider that kind of a waste of time. I really enjoy the challenge of different kinds of music, and if when I make mistakes, because nobody's perfect, nobody plays the perfect gig, that's for sure. But when I do, I notice it and I try to do something about it and try to improve upon that the next time that I play. So that's what keeps it fresh for me. Working here with a lot of the younger students, one of the biggest kicks I get is we rent a lot of band instruments here to the school music programs, and one of the coolest things that I've worked in retail music for basically about the last 30 years, so I've done this for a while. When a kid gets his instrument, when he comes in with his parents to rent the instrument for the first time, and they open up that case, and the look on their faces when they see that, that is just the coolest thing. When they look at that new trumpet or that clarinet and go, hey, it's broken, it's in a bunch of pieces. No, we've got to put it together. That keeps me going too. It's just that next generation of because I remember when I got my first, I think my dad bought my first trombone used from my next door neighbor for like $15 or something like that. But when I opened that thing up, it was all tarnished and it was had dents in it. But it was the coolest darn thing I'd ever seen. Yeah.
Hey, that's enough of our time for today. I want to thank Pete for being here. Appreciate it very much. And I want to thank you all for being with us today. I do want to invite you, if you've got some questions or some things you'd like us to talk about someday, we'd love to hear from you. So you can give us an email at mike@rhapsodyschoolofmusic.com. You can call us at the store, 623-465-7060. Again, jump us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. Find us in as many venues as we can and kind of keep helping us support this journey of inspiration for our young students and our community here at Anthem. So
I was going to say, and if you haven't seen our new location here, or you're new to the area, whatever, just want to come down and check it out, see what we have, please come down. We'll give you a tour of the building, and we'll get you set up. And I think you'd be inspired to seeing the stuff that we have here available for everybody.
Yeah, come on down and join us. So on behalf of Pete and myself and all of us here at Rhapsody Music, thank you so much. You guys have a great day.